Hello, beautiful people. This is Venerable Tikwang Tree on Dharma Tree, and you're listening to Dharma on Demand. Welcome back, everyone. And I'm so sorry for my MIA. I know it's been a while, but it's been pretty busy in this monthly life of mine. So I am making time now to record this. It's Thanksgiving Day, so I have a little bit more free time than usual. So I'm using this opportunity to hopefully be able to do a couple of recordings today and get everything hopefully updated and back up and running. So we are continuing with the Eightfold Path today, and today we are on the fifth path, Right Livelihood or Samyak Jiva. So basically, right livelihood in this case means that one should abstain from making one's living through a profession that may bring harm to oneself or others. So in the sutras, usually define right livelihood as earning a living that's without needing to transgress any of the five precepts, right? So not dealing in weapons, in the slave trade, the meat trade, or the sale of alcohol, drugs, or poisons, or anything that could be potentially harmful to yourself or to others. So we try to have a vocation that is beneficial to humans, right? To animals and to the plants and to the world as a whole, or at least, you know, minimize our harm to those things. So our vocation can nourish our understanding and compassion, or it could erode them, right? So we should be aware to the consequences, whether they are near or far, of the way that we earn our living. So many modern industries are harmful to humans and nature, unfortunately. So even the food production, has chemical pesticides and fertilizers that can cause a lot of harm to the environment and to the self. And so when we practice your profession, or when you practice your profession or trade, observe the five precepts. A job that involves killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, or selling drugs or alcohol is not right livelihood. If your company, pollutes the water or the air or the environment, working there is not right livelihood. Making weapons or human trafficking is also not right livelihood. But we also know that writing or giving speeches can also be livelihood. A composer or a speaker has an effect on the collective consciousness. So right livelihood is not just a personal matter, but it's also our collective karma, our collective consciousness here. So for me, I'm a monk, and I believe that nurturing love and understanding in the world is a beautiful and important vocation. I would object if someone were to ask me to stop teaching and become a butcher, for example. But when I meditate on the interconnectedness of things, right, I see that the butcher is not the only person responsible for killing animals, right? We may think the butcher's livelihood is wrong and ours is right, but if we didn't eat meat, he would not have to kill, right? So, right livelihood is a collective matter. The livelihood of each person affects everyone else. And so, the butcher's children might benefit from my teaching, while my children, if I had any, because they eat meat, share some of the responsibility for the butcher's livelihood as well. So, everything that we do contributes to our effort to practice right livelihood. It's more than just the way that we, earn our paycheck, but we can't succeed at having right livelihood 100% of the time. But we can resolve to go into the direction of compassion and reducing any suffering that may be caused. So, and we can resolve to help create a society in which there is more than there is more right livelihood and less wrong livelihood. And so the basic or kind of the you know underlying teaching here is just being able to work in a profession that is morally correct, basically, right? So it's always a good thing, regardless of what we do in life, whether it's actually work or any personal objectives or hobbies or whatever it may be. It's important to ask ourselves, is this harmful to myself or to others? And if there is no harm, right, and if there's no breaking any of the 5 precepts, then we are probably on the right track. But if any of those 5 precepts or anything that is morally wrong in doing what we want to do, then that should probably be a hint for us to kind of stop and reevaluate what we are trying to achieve or what we're trying to do or think or whatever it may be. So essentially, what we are trying to do is be in a profession, hopefully, that is beneficial, that is helpful, right? There's a lot of industries, a lot of organizations, a lot of companies, a lot of professions and vocations that are very important and very beneficial for people, right? Teachers, doctors, farmers, most, even though farming does have some potentiality to cause some environmental or animal harm, right? Especially when you're, working the farm and kind of using the tractor or any other supplies, in the ground or in the dirt, there is a potential of killing insects, killing bugs. However, at the same time, we also have to think about our intention. So our intention, especially in Buddhism, is very important because we are not yet fully perfect enlightened beings. And so even though we may follow the 5 precepts and vow to uphold them, there are circumstances or situations where one or more precepts could be broken, right? On a daily basis, we are unfortunately probably killing some kind of bug or insect, right? When you're walking outside, for the most part, most people aren't really being mindful or aware of where they're walking, unless you are practicing correctly. But even when we're walking outside, whether it's going to our car or just being in the garden or whatever it may be, there is a potentiality of us stepping on bugs or insects, right? And so even though we've technically broken a precept, our intention behind that was not malicious. It was not harmful. There was no ill will or aversion toward the animals or insects, right? And we killed by accident. There was no ill will behind the intention. There was no intention to go out and seek bugs or insects to kill. And so even though there is a small karmic hit there, it won't be as big or as offensive, I guess, because our intention behind the killing was not malicious, right? We didn't go and intend to break the precept. However, on the other hand, if we do something that causes us to break the precept and there is the intention to break it, right? If you go out hunting, for example, or you're going, let's say you're with someone that you know is married or in a committed relationship, and there's sex involved, for instance, and knowing that is also breaking the precept of sexual misconduct. Going out and hunting is a direct intention to kill, right? And anything else, if there is the intention there, then that is the bigger offense there. There is a huge karmic hit when the intention behind of what we're doing, thinking, or saying is intended to do some type of harm. We may not see that there's harm behind it, but if you're, for instance, sleeping with someone who is in a committed relationship or married, and their significant other finds out, you're potentially breaking up a family. You're potentially breaking up a relationship. There may be kids involved or anything, or other things involved, right? It may not impact you as much, but it has a huge impact on others. And so there is harm there. And so when we practice our practice and meditation and being mindful, this is why we practice mindfulness. This is why we practice awareness of what we think, say, and do. Because if we're able to think through that mindfully and objectively, then we can see the potential pattern of what may be caused or done because of our actions. And so once we kind of go through that contemplation and we see that there's a potential negative effect or harm to ourselves or others, then hopefully that will give you the aha moment to stop and reevaluate what is happening so you can change the circumstance or the situation. But basically, the moral of the story and the moral of this path of right livelihood is to just do good, do things with compassion and with love and understanding, and avoid doing anything that may cause harm to yourself or to others. Thank you for listening. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.